buddies, it's Bad Lori, and welcome back to my channel. And guess what? I've got more news for you today about the Nifty Knitting Community Stuff Pack. And in case you're new here, let me introduce myself to you. I create content related to The Sims. I do builds, let's plays, news. I do a lot of different things, but it's all Sims related. So if you're into The Sims, make sure you subscribe so you can always know when I have a new video coming out. You may have seen or heard that EA has released even more information about the Nifty Knitting Pack. Recently on the Sims forum, they went into a deep dive about Plopsy, how it works, and what it does. So without further ado, let me read the forum to you. Welcome back to another Nifty Knitting Deep Dive. This is part 4 of our ongoing series where we take a peek behind the curtain of yarn to discuss depth in upcoming gameplay features and have a little Q&A with members of the development team. Today, let's talk about Plopsy. Plopsy is an online arts and crafts marketplace to buy and sell goods. It's sort of an amalgamation of real-life online stores, but the theme should feel familiar. For a pack centered around knitting, this felt like a really good ad. After all, there are only so many times you can gift your significant other a sweater, and yet so many sweaters to knit. The flow for Plopsy is relatively straightforward. Once you've crafted an object, the List on Plopsy interaction becomes available. Listing an item on Plopsy costs a small fee and will remain listed on Plopsy for several days. You can keep track of your listed items in your inventory, where you will see the current duration of the item and if there are any interested buyers. It's that easy. If someone is interested in buying your item, you'll be notified with a message. If you agree to the buyer's offer, you can use the Ship on Plopsy action to ship the object in the mail. You'll be paid immediately and get a thank you message from the buyer when they receive your package. Alternatively, you can ignore a buyer's offer and relist the object for sale again. Ship it! Plopsy offers a higher payout than selling things the old-fashioned way, at the cost of some general maintenance and patience. The goal is to offer a better selling experience for both the stay-at-home crafting professional and the fair-weather crafting hobbyist. Plopsy isn't tied down to a career or a gig, so anyone is free to try. Sims can also purchase things on Plopsy through their phones or computers. The storefront will rotate in random crafted items throughout the day, so even non-crafty Sims have a chance to get some cool stuff, including the new knitted clothing. We plan for Plopsy to be available for things like paintings, woodworking, statues, potions, knitted items, flower arrangements, and more! Hoping to wrap future arts and crafts under Plopsy too. Without further ado, here's Rick Rogers, engineer extraordinaire here in our Stuff Pack team, here to talk a bit about coding, UI, and all the bits in between. Connor, tell us what it means to be a gameplay engineer on The Sims 4. Rick, to understand what a GPE is, we always say GPE, you need to understand a bit about how The Sims 4 works. The Sims 4 uses a client-server architecture, which means it is essentially composed of two separate programs that talk to each other. The first program we call the client, and it is responsible for displaying the game to the player. It handles things like graphics, audio, and the user interface. It's relatively important. The second program we call the server, and it manages what we call gameplay systems like autonomy, interactions, relationships, aspirations, skills, and careers. The server keeps track of those things and condenses them down into operations that the client understands, like play this animation on this object, or maybe put this cat on top of this vacuum. As a GPE, my job is to build and fix the gameplay systems on the server to make sure the designers have the options they need to create the features using them. Disclaimer, I am simplifying a bit. Connor, you also work on UI engineering. How is it different from gameplay engineering? How is it the same? Rick, to me, gameplay engineering is about solving abstract problems, like where and how should a sim put the object that they are holding, while UI engineering is usually about solving much more concrete problems like, what do we do if the Russian word for tiny house is too long for this button? UI engineering can be really satisfying because the changes we make are usually immediately visible. There is also something fun about changing up the interface to the game that we stare at all day long. At the end of the day though, code is code. I like to work on both because it means I get to implement the gameplay and the UI components on a single feature. Connor, is there one thing about the Nifty Knitting that you're really excited about working on? Rick, Plopsy. I think partly because the idea of selling things I make at home has always appealed to me in real life. Also, Plopsy breaks some of the assumptions we had previously made about how we would use the crafting system, and it's been fun to find and solve the problems that have come up. Connor, what is your favorite feature that you have ever worked on in The Sims 4? Rick, can I pick 2? Favorite feature to make? I had a lot of fun adding freelancer careers to the game. We had done something similar to freelancer with the acting career in The Sims 4 Get Famous, and we wanted to figure out a way to use some things we liked about the acting career to make other careers. When we added another freelancer career for fashion photography in The Sims 4 Machino Stuff pack, I felt like my baby was all grown up. Favorite feature to play? I really enjoyed working on the Murphy bed in The Sims 4 Tiny Living Stuff pack. Its convenient design, but sometimes prickly exterior, make it the perfect combination of sensible and a little nefarious. You might say I identify with it a bit. I didn't hook up the object itself, that was our design team, but I worked on it because we needed gameplay support in code for a bed that was also a love seat. We had never made anything like that before. Connor, thanks Rick. That's all I have for this week, Simmers, but never fear, we have one more design deep dive to share with you. I saved the best, my personal favorite, for last, so be sure to join us next time for the knitting deep dive. Until then, Sim Guru Connor. So that was all the news they had for us about Plopsy this time. I feel like they really got in there and explained a lot about it. For me, it was like they said, very intuitive and kind of straightforward. You make your items, you pay your small fee, you put them on the website, and then a sim will choose to buy them or not. And if a sim does choose to buy it, you mail it away. Funny, it's almost like the real thing they based it off of. But it was nice that they got in there and explained it in case there were questions, because I know not everybody thinks the same, and odds are if one person has a question about something, there's probably others. So I'm glad that they took the time to kind of fill in all of the blanks about Plopsy this time. Thanks for listening to me ramble again, guys, and thanks so much for coming and spending time with me. And if you're not yet subscribed, make sure you do subscribe and ring that bell so you can be the first to know about every time there's news. Thanks for coming to see me again, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night. I'll see you all next time. Bye!